As Balta faced the courtroom, he appeared resolute, his charm re-emerging as he entered a not guilty plea to the charges of money laundering and sexual misconduct. His defense team framed the narrative around his actions, arguing that all the women involved were consenting adults who had willingly engaged in relationships with him. They asserted that the explicit videos and photographs found on his phone were not evidence of immorality but rather consensual exchanges made in private. "Your Honor," Balta's attorney declared, "these women were not victims. They sought pleasure and experience, and some of them even returned for more. My client's actions, while perhaps unseemly to some, do not constitute a crime." This argument drew a mix of gasps and murmurs from the gallery, further polarizing public opinion in a courtroom that overflowed with media representatives eager for sensational stories. As the trial progressed, Balta serenely proclaimed his faith in the judicial system. In interviews conducted while in custody, he often praised his wife, Kemi, whom he described as a strong, supportive woman. "Kemi will always take care of our children," he'd said with conviction. "She's more than capable. Even if I don't make it through this case, I know my family will be fine." His words resonated with some, who saw a glimmer of humanity beneath the layers of his scandalous reputation. However, the facade of a perfect family began to crack dramatically. Shockwaves reverberated through the nation when an explicit video surfaced featuring Kemi engaging in intimate acts with other men. The release of the tape, titled "Balta's Betrayal," exploded across social media platforms and news outlets, sending the public into an uproar. Many were stunned, while others felt a dark sense of poetic justice. Balta's supporters quickly dwindled as some citizens questioned how he could take the moral high ground while his wife's actions painted a contrasting reality. Critics began to argue that he had created a toxic environment within his own home that led to Kemi's choices. "Here's a man who preached about family values while he was seducing his colleagues' wives," one protester shouted outside the courthouse, brandishing a sign that read "Hypocrisy at its finest." The timing of the release fueled media frenzy, and Kemi's name became synonymous with betrayal in the eyes of the public, further complicating the dynamic in the courtroom. As the days turned into weeks, testimonies continued to unfold in the trial, where the prosecution focused on the power dynamics between Balta and the women who alleged misconduct. But Balta remained defiant, arguing that any accusations of manipulation were unfounded, pointing to several women who came forward to defend him, claiming they had willingly engaged in intimate relationships for various reasons: excitement, ambition, and thrill. But the tables began to turn when Zara, the prominent journalist, returned to the stand, armed with the knowledge of Kemi's video and what it could mean for Balta's defense. "For too long, Ganga has manipulated this narrative, claiming power over not just his lovers but his family," she stated, her voice unwavering. "The truth is, coercion can take many forms, and it's time that we reckon with that reality." Balta's expression shifted as he sat in the defendant's chair, the confidence fading under the weight of Zara's words. He had spent years portraying himself as a man who took what he wanted, always escaping the consequences. Now, as the public turned against him, he found his carefully constructed walls crumbling around him. Adding to the chaos, Kemi, feeling the heat from the scandal and the immense public scrutiny, granted an incendiary interview to a well-known talk show host. Under the harsh lights of the studio, she confronted the camera with fierce honesty. "You think my husband is the only one to blame? He may have seduced hundreds, but did we not stay together for the sake of our family?" Her raw vulnerability resonated with some viewers, while leaving others grappling with her surprising strength. As the trial concluded, the jury deliberated on the reality of Balta's actions, his perceived innocence, and the consequences of their outcomes. In a historic verdict, they found him guilty on counts of money laundering. While the charges of sexual misconduct were dismissed due to a lack of compelling evidence of coercion, the ruling still marked a tarnished legacy for the once revered minister. Balta was sentenced to years in prison, his reputation burned to ashes. In the aftermath, the nation reeled from a scandal that held a mirror to its leaders, revealing the dark underbelly of power dynamics, infidelity, and betrayal that had long plagued its governance. Kemi chose to step into the public eye, as a woman navigating her own journey, a narrative of resilience emerging amidst the chaos. Balta, now just another inmate facing the consequences of his actions, reflected on a life consumed by greed and lust. His thoughts often drifted to his family and the desperate hope that one day they might find healing from the wreckage he had caused. While he served his sentence, Kemi seemed to find strength from within, rallying support from women across the country, fighting not just for herself but for every individual who had been wronged. The fallout from Balta Ganga's downfall left a powerful legacy, igniting a renewed conversation surrounding accountability, ethics, and the fundamental rights of both victims and empowered individuals. As the whispers of scandal faded into the background, the call for integrity grew louder, paving the way for a generation determined to ensure that power would never again be misused without consequence.